Hello everyone, my name is Ella. Welcome back to another Loki episode discussion. I looked over and I saw that it has just started raining, so if you hear dripping water in the background of this video, that's all it is. I promise my apartment isn't flooding. So today we are going to be discussing episode 4, the Nexus event. So if you have not watched that yet, go ahead and pause this video, go watch that episode, and then come back to join me. I do not anticipate this video being all that long because I hated this episode for various reasons, but I did not like this episode. I feel like it was a waste of waking up at 3 a.m. to watch when all it did was upset me, and it just left me with way too many questions that I just couldn't deal with at 3 in the morning when I had to get up for work at 7 o'clock. 4 hours later. So this is gonna be a short one because this episode was pretty much mostly critiques from me, which is really a bummer because I loved the last episode. I thought it was really great. I had no qualms with it, but this one, I'm just gonna throw it out in the open. I mentioned it in the last episode. I think it's really super weird that they're wanting us to root for Loki and Sylvie as a couple, and apparently that's a very mixed feeling to have, because on the one hand we have a lot of people that are on the same page as me and think it's weird that it's kind of like incest in a way. Self-cest is a word, that's a term, fan fiction that has been going on for quite a while, pretty much since the invention of fan fiction, but that doesn't mean that I have to be okay with it. And it very much feels like Loki and Sylvie have a sibling bond. And I feel like that's almost how, it should be. If you're meeting yourself from a different timeline, that's you. How is there not a very sibling-like bond? And then this show wants us to ship them together? No, But then I know that there are people that are like, well, they're the same person, it's very narcissistic, and admittedly that's what those, outside of the ship in the show are trying to say. Mobius said it was very, weird and narcissistic, but, I don't know how people justify it. I don't know. It's weird to me. I don't like it, and I don't like that it was, the focus of this episode. So once that really was just kind of brought up with Mobius kind of poking fun at Loki for it, I just immediately, the episode was a huge turnoff for me. I was just uninvested for the rest of the show because I don't know, it's weird to me. I don't like it, and it's just weird. That's all I have to say about it. It's just weird. My other main critique, since I'm focusing on critiques for right now anyways, is that how many times do we have to watch Loki die? I know he didn't technically die in this one according to the end credit scene, or maybe he did, we don't know, but I'm just tired of watching my favorite characters die. Because this is the 4th, 5th time that we've watched Loki die, and it never gets any more fun to watch. Not ever. I don't know what Marvel's trying to get from us or want us to want when they kill Loki off multiple times, but I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. It's not even fun anymore. I mean, it never was in the first place, but and this with this one, I saw it coming, because when Sylvie was fighting Ravonna, she knocked her out, and then that was it. I was like, Ravonna's still there. She's gonna get Loki. I called it. So it wasn't even a big surprise. I was just kind of yep, that's unfortunate, because I saw it coming. And that's also no fun when you can see a character's death coming, because not that you want it to be a surprise either. I mean, you don't want your favorite character to die ever, but there's no good way to go about it. And I'm really frustrated that we had to go through that again. That was one of the things that I wanted from the show, was to not have to watch Loki die again. And here we are, watching Loki die again. I literally wrote nasty in my notes so many times in regards to Loki and Sylvie because I was just so done. I just pronounced Sylvie really weird. I'm trying to think what else I like wrote down that I didn't like. I think that's it. The other is just like commentary I made, so I guess I'll just kind of talk about that a little bit. I don't even know where to start. It was interesting to see Sylvie's childhood just a fraction of a tiny bit, but her explanation for it didn't really clear anything up. Like when she was telling Loki about what it was like for her growing up in Asgard, the way I interpreted it was that she didn't want to be the goddess of mischief, and that's what caused the Nexus event. I don't know. Maybe we'll get a better explanation in the next episode or in the finale, assuming Sylvie gets Ravonna to talk about why she took her from her timeline in Asgard. I don't know, but like the way I interpret it, she just didn't want to be the goddess of mischief, and the TVA didn't like that, so they were like, nope, variant. Which brings me to my next case, because as we know, or assume if we're to believe Sylvie, everyone in the TVA that works for the TVA that aren't the timekeepers are variants. And so like, is that the same thing? Like, were they in their timeline and they just did like one tiny little thing that the TVA didn't like, and they were like, let's take them, get rid of their timeline, prune their timeline, and then they're just gonna work for us now, and it's gonna be great. Like, is that how this whole place is based? This is a cult. I read last night and realized also as I was reading it that this is supposed to be like a commentary on like religion and like institutionalized religion and stuff like that, which I see. I get it 100%. So it makes sense. But like, when you look at it that way, you see just how much of a cult the TVA is. And I hope we get more explanations, because we certainly didn't get any with the timekeepers in this episode, because as we saw, those 3 timekeepers were robots. Now that doesn't mean that they're necessarily androids. Like, it could be that someone else is controlling them from somewhere else. We do have Kang the Emperor, who is supposed to be in charge of the TVA. Is it Kang the Emperor or Kang the Conqueror? One of those two. I can't remember, and I can't be bothered to look it up right now. But he's supposedly head of the TVA, so maybe he's just like controlling the robots. I don't know. My brother has a theory that Kang might be a frost giant Loki if he had actually been born a giant and not a runt. I don't know. I'm kind of tired theorizing for this show, because I'm just not interested in this show anymore. Which is really sucky, because I love Loki. Loki is my character. I have so many, Loki is my favorite, and I feel like they're just doing disjustice to him. And maybe that's just me, and like my personal views on Loki are being challenged, and that's why I don't like the show. But like, I don't know, this episode really felt like a turning point, and I feel like I just am not gonna enjoy the show from here on out. Also, can we be really clear that the TVA definitely killed C20? And if not the TVA, then definitely Ravonna. Which I feel like definitely justifies Sylvie saying that everyone that works for the TVA is variants, because why else would Ravonna feel the need to kill C20? Like, unless she didn't want to get the secret out. So like, yeah, something's weird with the TVA, and we better find out. It was good to see Lady Sif again. That was one of the only redeeming qualities of this episode. And I also liked that they took into account one of the actual stories from Greek mythology where Loki cuts off Sif's hair. So that was fun to see. Also, it was just great to see Jamie Alexander again, because she's just so good as Lady Sif, and I hope this might mean that we might see more of her later. I feel like she did say that she was filming something to do with Marvel recently, so I'm wondering if this was it or if there might be more in the future. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm really just like jumping around in this episode, just trying to find something to say so this video is at least like 15 or 20 minutes long. But the fight scene between Loki and Sylvie and the hunters, the time hunters, and the timekeepers was all like, that was such a nicely choreographed fight scene, and that was really fun to watch. I just wish I hadn't been so confused the whole time. Like, I don't know. Like, I know we still have 2 more episodes, and I know they're not obviously going to give us all the answers immediately, but like, I would kind of like to have a few answers by now. I mean, like, yes, we still have 2 episodes, but at the same time, we only have 2 episodes left, so like, can we start getting some answers a little bit? I mean, I know it's rumored we're supposed to get more seasons, but like, I feel like if we have more seasons, that's gonna be a couple of years from now, and like, I would like some answers in the meantime. Like, I don't know, am I being too demanding? Maybe I'm being too demanding, I don't know. B15's character arc, good. I love her. She deserves good things. I hope we see what happens with her, because she kind of got like knocked out at the beginning of the whole Loki Sylvie fight, so I'm hoping she's not like dead, because I don't know, I feel like I want to see more with her, which is kind of funny because at the beginning of this series I felt like she was just kind of like a character that I wasn't interested in, but now I'm just kind of like, I would like to see more, mayhaps. I could go for more. And what we're not gonna talk about is Mobius, because that feels like a disappointment also. And like, I don't know. Obviously we saw with Loki that Loki didn't really die, ? So maybe the same thing happened with Mobius, because I feel like they've been very unclear what exactly pruning is. They've mentioned it a lot throughout the series, but they've never really defined what pruning is. So I've always just kind of assumed that it means that you've just been erased from time entirely and like you've been killed. But that wasn't the case with Loki, and I don't know if that's because of what pruning is, or if that's just like a Loki thing and like the other Lokis saved him or what. So maybe we'll see Mobius again. Maybe we'll get to see him ride his little jet ski off into the sunset. That would be nice. He deserves that. One thing that did pique my curiosity was something one of the timekeepers said to Sylvie when they were all in there in that last scene. And he said, "You're a child of the timekeepers too." And that was just kind of like said with like no context and no further explanation. And I don't know if I personally missed something in the show or if they just haven't explained that yet, but I was just like, wait, what do you mean a child of the timekeepers too? Like, are you implying that Loki is also, or are you referring to yourselves and then Sylvie also? Like, I have questions. I have questions and I want answers, and I don't want to wait a week or possibly 2 weeks for them. And then finally, the real only redeeming quality for this episode was the end credit scene, mid credit scene, whatever you want to call it, where we saw Loki wake up. And I got excited because he asked if this was Hel, and of course my mind immediately went to Hela and hoping that we see Hela in the future in the next 2 episodes, which I doubt, but I'm still holding out a little bit of hope. But we saw old Loki, we saw kid Loki, and we saw Thor, which caught me off guard, even though I did technically see a spoiler for that, only because I checked Twitter while the end credits were rolling and I saw like a screenshot of that scene and then someone saying that there was an end credit scene, and I was like, oh, oops, I haven't got there yet. But I wasn't that mad about it because it was kind of like blurry, and I also like saw it and realized that I was looking at a spoiler, so looked away really quickly. But yeah, that shook me to my core. Like, I literally gasped so loudly. I hope that I didn't wake up my neighbors when I did that, because I was just like, oh my gosh. Because like we wanted to see Old Man Loki, and like I personally thought that we would see Old Man Loki in the context of maybe controlling the TVA, And I guess possibly we could still have that happen. I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying not to put too many theories out there on the table for the show simply because I don't want to be let down. But yeah, I think that's interesting. It was certainly a big twist, and I am curious to see what that means for our Loki. And I'm curious to see what will happen with them with the rest of the show, because obviously that's a game changer. That's a big plot twist. And they did say we were going to see different versions of some of the characters we know, like Thor. Obviously, this is a very different Thor than the one that we have. And I already know the racists are going to be mad as hell about it. But I'm really excited to see what happens in this little, I don't know if it's a pocket dimension, I don't know if it's an alternate reality or a different timeline or what it is, but I'm really excited to see how our Loki interacts with these Lokis and this new Thor and possibly other characters that we haven't seen either yet or haven't seen in the way that they're going to present them to us. So yeah, that really, like, that turned the episode around for me a little bit, but like as a whole this episode was just meh. It was meh. And like, I feel like a little bit of that is also the fact that with all the Marvel shows so far, like once we get so far into it, waking up at 3 a.m. to watch them does get a little old, especially now that I have a job. This is the third week in a row that I've woken up at 3 a.m. to watch the episode and then have had to wake up at 7 a.m. after that to go to work. So that's a little bit troublesome. Like, I'm kind of tired with that, and I'm glad I have next Wednesday off so I don't have to deal with that. But yeah, just this episode was just not it for me, for the reasons that I specified at the beginning of this video, and I hope they pull me back in with the next 2 episodes, because I'm just very, not to be punny about it, but I'm low-key disappointed with where this show is going currently, and I really hope they turn it around. I think they will. I'm interested to see what they do with the other Lokis and our Loki, like I said, like 5 times now. But yeah, I think that's about it for this episode. I don't really have anything else that I needed to say or wanted to say, so that's it for this video. I'll be back next Friday with my discussion about episode 5 of Loki. And if you watch me for my regular non-Marvel content, I'll be back this Wednesday with a really fun video. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and if you'd like to be notified of when I post new content, go ahead and click that little bell icon down there. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Bye!